Hey guys, it's Cliffe here again. Welcome to day 3 of my studio vlog. It's Monday the 21st of March. See, I even knew the date without having to think about it too much. It's sort of early on, it's about 12:30 at the moment in the afternoon. So I'm not doing any sort of full-scale tracking or anything at the moment, but what I wanted to do was take advantage of the space while I've got it to do a bit of kind of songwriting with some big guitar rig stuff. So at the moment I've got Snowy on, and I've come up with this cool riff that's using the drop B tuning, and basically kind of just playing around with ideas just to sort of explain my guitar rig setup at the moment. If I come across here, so obviously my pedal board is down there. I apologise for the strange angles. I'm trying to do this without removing it from the tripods to make life easier. And after the dual boost, the new sub pedal, it goes underneath the board to a sub buffer which splits the signal out. So basically one of the signals goes to the tweaker on the right, which is completely dry. If I zoom in, I don't know whether I can get in close enough for you to see the controls. Let's have a look. Okay, maybe I can. So it's set on with the gain on, the dirty channel basically, on AC mode, which is the kind of voxy sound, and that's kind of giving me a slightly gritty, kind of slightly chimey. It's not really a vox tone, but it's certainly kind of a little bit atypical for what I'd use. And I say that's completely dry. So if I pull the lead to the post effect, this may get quite loud. I'm not sure. So it's just that amp on at the moment. Turn the overdrive off. I mean, this guitar's quite high output, but you can hear it's got a bit of grit to it. And it handles that low B nicely, so that's pretty cool. Now what I've also got set up is, so the post effects on the pedal board, basically the non-isolated or the main output from the subwoofer then feeds into the front of the other Agnator tweaker, which I'm not going to be able to pick up on camera, but that's my usual settings. So it's the British mode, set clean. So again, if I do some quick rejigging, pull the feed to that amp, pull the feeds to my secret weapon, which isn't that secret if you've watched any of my videos before, but it's just something that's giving me quite a nice thing, and then plug that in. So this is my go-to. So there's some effects kind of going on there. It's pointing at a different angle than the other one, so we don't get too much interference between the two. And that's kind of my main effect feed, if you will, which is a different tone than the dry feed. And then the way I've got it set up is, so the effects loop send from that goes into the timeline, come back down to the pedal board, into the timeline, into the Mobius, into the Big Sky, and then into the Ditto. And they're all linked up in stereo. That's why you might see some kind of scruffy extra cables hanging over the top, because this isn't how I tend to use it, just for home practice. And then the extra feed from the Ditto then feeds out to my extra amp over here, which is an Ibanez TSA 15, which isn't mic'd up yet. I've not got any mic cables going to any of these yet, but that's just giving me my extra stereo feed, because it's a really clean amp. When it's not got the tube streamer on or the boost on, it's just really kind of nice and clean. It's not got the stock speaker in, it's got a G12H30. And this is kind of basically I haven't got a third set of speaker cabs for my tweakers, so for the time being, this is what I'm going to go with. At some point, having done this experiment now, I'm now thinking, okay, I want another set of cabs for my tweaker so I can run this whole sort of wet, dry, wet kind of rig. And it's kind of a wet, dry, wet rig in kind of pseudo sense that the dry signal is still feeding the side cabs. That was the wrong way. So yeah, the dry signal is feeding the side cabs as well, and then what we've got is the whole separate dry feed of the slightly grittier amp. So anyway, this kind of sound, obviously I can't play it while I've got the recorder in my hand, but this kind of loop that I came up with, that I then sat down behind the drum kit and came up with some kind of cool drum patterns to it, and then came up with some melody lines over the top of it. I've got it programmed into the Ditto, so if I now plug in the relevant cables again, obviously with the Ditto only feeding the two outer amps, it's not as loud as it would be if it was going to all three, but that's absolutely fine, because that means then that when I play over the top of it, that comes out really loud through the solo amp, through the Voxy amp. So I'm going to play that riff. So that's running the Leslie on the Mobius. And I can see this being an instrumental track of some kind. I can sort of hear lyrics as well, but for the moment I think I'm going instrumental track. And then what I can do is play some lead over the top of that. But I'll have to put this down to do so. So if I stop that gives you kind of some kind of idea of one of these new tracks that I'm working on. This one I don't have a title for yet. In terms of the instrumental tracks, basically I'm doing this one I like the sound of. I've got the Remembering piece that I wrote for my best friend Michael when he passed away last month. I've got the piece that I wrote called Reflections. When I bring my Sir down, I'll be able to then sort of loop some stuff like that and experiment with drum parts with that, because this guitar, while it's fun and heavy and stuff, it's difficult to kind of, because it's not in standard tuning. My brain won't process licks that are written in standard tuning in different tunings very well. I kind of need to play this guitar for stuff I've written in this guitar. I need to play Beastie for stuff I've written in open C sharp. So that's kind of why I'm kind of going to be waiting until I bring the other guitar down to do some of that stuff. After this afternoon, late afternoon maybe. But yeah, so I've got those ones. I don't know whether I've said there's a piece of Reflections that I wrote, and then there's the piece, I think I called it Road Back Home. All these titles are kind of are floating. They may change. That's the advantage of instrumental music, is that if the title suddenly doesn't fit, then I can change it out to be something more suitable. So that's going to happen. So I've got these 4 instrumentals, then I've got 3 songs that I track drums on, at least to probably another 3 or 4 more songs, and then I'm going to take kind of the main theme ideas from Can You Hear Me, which was a Voyager Project single that we released after, that I released after the second album. And it was a great long kind of sprawling, kind of slightly doomy thematic piece that was like 9 minutes long or something. But there's some cool themes in that I'm going to kind of chop down because I really like the main vibe of it. Might pull that down into a kind of 4-minute kind of song. And then as well, there's a couple of ideas from Leaving Valhalla that I'm going to try and extract. Again, because I'm trying to keep things kind of fairly short and snappy, so that I can end up with hopefully kind of 9 or 10 tracks that are around about 3 to 4, maybe 4.5 minutes long. Because basically I'm kind of trying to break out of this whole kind of, well, not in terms of my musical kind of thing, but break out the whole kind of prog rock thing of having great long sprawling songs, and instead trying to appeal to a wider audience, I guess, and also be a bit more kind of show the blues and country influences through a bit more rather than just the metal and the prog stuff. That said, a couple of the songs are still fairly up tempo. Looking forward to tracking the rest of those parts. The drums were hard work last night on a couple of those, but what can you do? It's probably good to start with the most up-tempo song probably in the project. So, yeah, I will. This has been a long update already. I should shoot something else later just to sort of top and tail this one. Until next time, take care. Hey guys, so I'm not in the studio at the moment. I spent quite a bit of time there doing some preparation work this afternoon, and then unfortunately, I don't know whether you can hear it in the background, but a thunderstorm's hit, so it's just too wet and noisy and horrid at the moment to do any recording. It's 6:30. I'd hoped to be in the studio about an hour ago, making a start on stuff. I hope to be back in there. I was there until I spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours there earlier, just sort of getting sounds and stuff like that. Did shoot an update there, which obviously I'll go across and grab the camera and do that editing because this is a different camcorder. But yeah, at the moment, as it stands, until the storm lifts, there's not a lot I can do. So I'm not going to stress because I've got a plan for the week. Got plenty of time. So just gonna chill out, have some dinner, maybe catch up on a couple of episodes of Pretty Little Liars and just see where we get. Okay, so it's just one of those things. The weather is unpredictable, except in Hong Kong this year the weather just seems to be predictably bad. Awful year for weather, but what can you do? Okay, so if there's nothing after this, then you'll know that for today's update at least I haven't been able to get into the studio to do any more work. But as I say, I've done preparation on I did some rehearsals, because I couldn't obviously record because of the construction noise, but I managed to rehearse the tracks that I'm recording. So my new song, which I've decided is called Down the River. I think that was the title I decided on anyway. Which I showed earlier in this video, the kind of, one of the two sort of thematic sort of frameworks of it. So I did that. I practiced Second Best Friend. I practiced come on brain, I only wrote these songs. The Choice Is Yours. Didn't get to I Beg 17, although because I'm not 100% certain that that's going to be there. What were the other songs I did? Come on brain. We're Not Alone. I did Faces. Did I do Faces yesterday or did I do Faces today? I think Faces in the Crowd was today. So yeah, I have made progress today. It's just that it's been slightly frustrating because of the weather. So I haven't managed to get as much done as I would like. But such is life. So you're gonna chill out, grab some dinner, see what happens if the storm lifts at 8 o'clock, which is in an hour and a half's time. And I can go and do 2 hours work then. I'll go and do 2 hours work then. If not, I'll just go back across, grab my camera and my audio recorder and stuff, and bring them back and just write off today. And hopefully the weather will be a bit more amenable tomorrow. Hey again, so I didn't think I was going to be able to do any recording tonight because of the weather. There's a big storm going on, but actually I came down here and it seems to have eased off a bit. It's not too bad. I came down just to pick up my guitar, my Sir, because I want to take that home and do some more writing on it in the morning before I come back to the studio. But I did, as I say, it was quiet enough in here. The thunder seems to have stopped and the rain eased off a little bit. So at least I was able to do some recording. It's now 9:15 at night. I'm just backing everything up that I've done in this session. And to be honest, really pleased. I did 4 songs. I did the drums to the Down the River, which is the new instrumental track that you heard at the start of this video, or you heard one idea of. I did Second Best Friend, I did We're Not Alone, and I did Faces in the Crowd. So yeah, really, really pleased with what I've achieved this evening in the end. Good that I'm finishing at 9 o'clock because basically, obviously the problem with being at the very start of the Easter holidays is that I'm kind of really tired from the end of term, and at the end of term I was also dealing with jet lag from coming back from the UK. So it was all a bit kind of mad. So I'm trying to get a balance in terms of resting, catching up on sleep and all that. Also keeping the apartment tidy and all that kind of stuff because life's got to go on. And Eva, my wife, is currently in Guayaquil in Ecuador. She's supposed to be in the Galapagos Islands by now, but flights kind of went wrong. So that's one of those things. But so she's away. So I'm trying to keep on top of everything myself, which is fine. But yeah, so that's kind of why I'm not going to do like a mammoth 8-hour session. Plus, I don't want to get blisters and stuff. I don't want to get, and the problem is when you get fatigued, your timing goes and all that kind of stuff. So very happy with where I'm at. So this is day 3. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.